Back. We continue live right here at Pittsburgh CW. Bob Pompeani, Gene Collier with you. Gene, before I go to the lines, what did you like better? Carl Hagelin's feed to Evgeny Malkin or his shot? Because it was the top play trending all over last night. What a goal it was, number 31 for Malkin. Did you like the pass or the shot better?
Well, I saw the shot today. I watched the dog show, as I reported on the show last night.
The dog show? You did that? Is that
I watched the dog show.
Oh.
I did. But I like the shot better. Really, really good shot.
It was a great shot. It was both, actually. I'd look at both and say equally as good. Let's go to Mark in North Hills. Hey, Mark, how you doing? Welcome to the show.
Hey guys, great show. Gene, I loved what you said about Pitt basketball last night. Your analysis about it was just spot on. My question is about the Penguins. Do you think Malkin, Kessel, and Crosby still, and it could be Fleury, to be the MVP of the league? I'll hang up. Talk to you.
Well, listen, Kessel right now leads Malkin and Crosby with 1 point only. It's 66 to 65 to 65. I think Kessel's been as consistent as anyone on this team. If I have an MVP vote for this team this year, it's Phil Kessel to me, Gene. What do you say?
Yeah, I'm good with that. I mean, not only that, but he's been so durable since he's been here. He's just done a great job for the Penguins. Another pretty good acquisition by Jim Rutherford.
Yeah. You know, the thing about it is we get close to the trade deadline, too. That acquisition was made by giving up a top prospect in Sami Kapanen, who is playing with Toronto, but he's, you know, he's a young player just trying to find his way, which is why I've always wanted the Pirates to do more of that. When you have prospects who are highly regarded, you know, then, okay, they're highly regarded, which means you probably can get something for them if you need something. And after 98 wins, that was something they should have done. You know, again, they gave up prospects and talent to make some of these trades. First-round picks are not afraid to do that. I remember back in the day, Gene, when Luca Caputi was traded, and everybody called this show and was all upset that Luca Caputi got traded. Okay, well, sometimes you're better off trading guys you don't know anything about, but they sound good on paper.
Oh, I see.
You know what you mean?
Yeah, no, I see what you mean. You went back.
Yeah, they said, oh, you can't trade Luca Caputi. Yeah. Well, yes, you can. Sami Kapanen, you can trade him too. You can trade a lot of guys in your organization if you feel the need to upgrade and use them as leverage.
Absolutely. Until people perform at the major league level, you know.
Right, you just don't know. It's a risk. All right, line 5 we go. Rick and Elizabeth. Hey, Rick, how you doing?
Good, guys. How you guys doing? Happy Valentine's Day.
You too.
Bob, I love the New York City trip. Solid. I heard it this morning. But hey,
that was good. That was back in the day now. I haven't been that fancy lately, but I'll try in the future.
That was solid. As far as the Penguins go, quick question, let you guys comment. I'll listen. The Ryan Reeves trade, wanted to see your thoughts on how it's played out here. Has he is getting more ice time lately, but has he been the deterrent that he was brought in to be, you know, in terms of being the enforcer, you know, with Crosby, Malkin, Letang? Do you guys think he's been worth it? And going forward, because he is playing a lot better right now when he's getting the extra ice time. I'll listen.
Good question. Guys. And I will say this before I toss it to Gene. He leads the team in hits. Given how few minutes he plays, that's saying something. Gene, your thoughts about that trade?
Yeah, as I've said on the show before, and I haven't really changed my mind, although I did read a really interesting Joe Starkey column in the Post-Gazette about this last week, saying essentially that, you know, Reeves is a good addition to the Penguins, and even though he doesn't play that much, he's a good player to have on your team. You know, that's certainly a defensible position. It just doesn't happen to be my position. I don't see really how he fits on this team. You know, he doesn't play much. I don't think he's deterring anybody from doing anything. I think the game has changed so much that players like that are of no great use. That's just my view. Yeah,
you really don't need enforcers the way you once did, but right. You know, Jim Rutherford believes he's done exactly what they wanted him to do, and if that's the case, fine. But he has hit. He had a real good game last week where he led them in hits, scored a goal. That was the Vegas game, and his goal was huge in that game.
I think that was Joe's point. If he makes them feel better, then that's fine.
Right.
That's enough itself. So, you know, I'm not going to argue with that.
Rob in the Hill District is always entertaining. Rob, go ahead.
Hey, Bob, I've been on the Pirates, man. But listen, I've been doing some research, man. This Colin Moran at third base and this Brian Reynolds, that's going to be the left fielder. If we get anything from them, I looked at their stats. I'm looking at they can get 35 to 40 home runs out of them, too. If we can get another starting pitcher, like a lefty.
Wait a minute now. Rob. You're expecting you're expecting a rookie to come in and hit it up for 35 home runs.
No. I said between the two of them.
Even between the two of them. That's a lot to expect.
Bob, yeah, but I'm expecting it because I'm looking at their stats. But listen, if we can get a left-handed starting pitcher, man, I think we could get that wild card, man, because our bullpen is strong. I'm telling you, Bob, Ryan Reynolds and Colin Moran are going to open up some eyes because they're going to get a chance to play every day.
All right, Rob, we'll find out. That's why they made that trade. Actually not. They did it to save money. But the point is, yeah, they have a lot of relievers. So if your starter can get to the second or third inning, I think you have a good chance. Gene, your thoughts?
You know, the Pirates are not going to get 35 homers out of those two. I mean, God bless them if they do. But, you know, Pirates starting pitching is sort of where it was last year, but not quite. They have a chance to be okay, but that's all, an outside chance to be okay.
All right, one more call. That would be James in New Brighton. James, go right ahead before we go to a break. How are you?
Pretty good. I wanted to stick with the Steelers a little bit. What's going on with Bell? You know, as far as them re-signing him. I mean, you know, Steelers got a lot of stuff they got to take care of next year. So what's the story with Bell?
Well, it is where it is. He wants to sign. They said they want to sign him long term. Gene, I haven't seen anything that says that anything has changed. Well, I still believe it's going to be a franchise tag again, 1 year. They'll run him, and then they'll depart with him.
Yeah, well, Ed Bouchette reported this week, and I'm talking about Hall of Famer Ed Bouchette. You can take it to the bank. Reported this week that the Steelers have been moving money around under the cap, restructuring some contracts to clear cap space, which would indicate that they're still trying to get a long-term deal done with Bell. Whether or not that can happen is completely up to Bell. He doesn't really know what he's doing, so who knows what's going to happen.
Well, speaking of our last caller was from New Brighton, it reminded me to extend condolences to Terry Francona and his family. Tito, a man we've known for a long time, Gene, he was you know, really the pride of Beaver County in so many ways. Had a golf tournament always there, hosting people, raising money. Was a guy who was in the MVP race back in 1959. His son managed the Red Sox to 2 championships now in Cleveland. He played in Cleveland, and he passed away last night at 84 of sad loss.
Yeah, one of the great men in baseball and a great baseball family. Our prayers to them.
We're going to take a break on that note. Back with more right after this on Pittsburgh CW.